Superheroine movies suck till now. Well, for a lot of reasons. Superhero movies have had not a good go at it, and I don't want to blame it on sexism, but there's been a lot of reasons that they haven't had a good one till now. For one thing, there's not a lot of A-list superheroines. Now, you in the comments might be going, well, what about this character who you... Look, I know all about superheroes, believe me. I'm as much of a nerd as anyone else. I collected the entire Dan Slott She-Hulk run. Believe me, I love me some superheroines. But there's only been ever 3 big superheroes throughout generations, and it's always been Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man. Wonder Woman has always been the big one, but her media presence has been limited to TV shows. Now, live-action movie genre, well, let's talk about that. Because I think it's fair to point out a couple things that happened. One, up till now, they've all been spin-off movies. And you might be thinking, well, what about... No, they've all been spin-off movies. Supergirl in the 1980s was a spin-off of Superman. They even showed a poster of the Christopher Reeve Superman in the movie, of all things. And it even had Jimmy Olsen in it. Those were the days. It's an interesting movie because it's kind of like a proto-magical girl movie. Like, Linda Danvers doesn't really, change her clothes. She literally shapeshifts into Supergirl, does all sorts of weird things, transform. She even fights a Kryptonian-powered witch. It's a weird movie, and I can kind of see where it didn't exactly hit. But that was like the first big strike, and also the first big failure. Years later, we've had other ones, like Elektra and Catwoman, and we all know what Catwoman's a spin-off of, The Dark Knight, Batman. That movie's actually secretly a Tim Burton sequel. They mention the lore from that damn movie, and it's like, what the hell? And then there's Elektra, which is so forgettable that I sometimes don't even remember it exists. I even forgot Jennifer Gardner played Elektra, and that's sad. But yeah, most of them have been spin-offs, and there's never been a big solo superheroine film. Now, a lot of people were hoping for other characters to get it. People have been clamoring for a Black Widow movie, and also people have been waiting for that Captain Marvel movie, which got delayed so very often. So, Wonder Woman is the first successful one, and to tell you the truth, it's only succeeds mostly because of the low bar it's in. Not only is it way above the low bar that's been set for superhero films, but it's also rising against the low bar DC Cinematic Universe films have set so far. And that is an extremely low bar. But does that mean it's a bad movie just because it rises above that low bar? No. It's actually a very good movie. It's not the best superhero movie ever. But, you want to know what? It can probably be made better. Because this sets a template for future movies. Future movies to succeed and be compared to. Because, let me put it this way. Superheroes used to have such the biggest hurdle to go over in Hollywood. Spider-Man, Superman. Until they became successful, people used to make fun of them. And hell, some people still do. Do you know how many critics use comic book storytelling as a negative in most of these stories? When it's like, well, it's adapted from a comic book, what do you expect? But also, when they use comic booky, it's in the pejorative. The thing about it is that if a movie rises above that to be good, it should say something. And I'm going to tell you what, Wonder Woman is a good film. So, what is Wonder Woman like? Wonder Woman as a character is one of those characters who it's hard to recommend good comics for. Now, I know I'm talking about the movie, but you have to understand, a lot of writers have different opinions on how Diana should be. And there's kind of what I like to call the Wonder Woman dichotomy. There is what I call the diplomatic Wonder Woman. This is Wonder Woman where she focuses on solving issues through kindness, caring, talking to people, diplomacy. And that's a good interpretation. But there's also what I like to call the warrior Wonder Woman. The warrior Wonder Woman solves it through action, violence. She's as good as her male counterpart. She can punch things. She's strong. She's stronger than Superman. For the most part, that is kind of true. She actually has no weakness to kryptonite or any real weakness. So, you know what? Awesome. But yeah, there's been a lot of comics where the two dichotomies where writers don't know which one they want to go for sometimes. Either it's diplomacy, I'm gonna solve this through love, caring, or warrior, I'm going to eat everything and slice it with my sword. Again, two very different dichotomies. Good writers tend to balance them out, creating a Wonder Woman who's both diplomatic, but is also ready to spring into action at a moment's notice. This movie goes more with a middle, but it does lean a bit on the warrior side, depending on the moment. So, what's the origin this time? Wonder Woman also has a convoluted origin, so I'm just going to go with the basics here. Island of Amazons. There are no men on this island. She was created by clay from her mother. Or was she? Was she. Different entire... Oh, I probably shouldn't mention spoilers. By the way, spoilers. Sorry. Spoilers incoming. So, she was created by her mom to be basically the perfect daughter. Because her mother wanted a daughter so badly, she could scream for it. And the gods blessed her with the gifts. That's the classic version of Wonder Woman. It's admittedly very hard to fit into 4 sentences, but that's as classic as you can get with her. This movie goes a bit with that, but it does add a special caveat, and this is where we get into heavy spoiler territory. She's the daughter of Zeus. Now, this is not much of a spoiler if you're a Wonder Woman fan, since DC's been kind of going with this origin for the last couple years since the New 52 back in 2011, because apparently it's very hard to relate to a statue, according to people. That's kind of the reason. I think it's also trying to clear up her origins, like, well, she's the daughter of the Amazon Queen and Zeus. Okay, fine. You know what? If you want to do that, go for it. Everybody's going to argue about it, but everybody also argues about which is the best interpretation of Wonder Woman. By the way, it's Greg Rucka's interpretation. But yeah, so she's the daughter of Zeus. In the movie, this is treated as a big reveal, but the movie kind of telegraphs it at a certain point that you could probably figure out very easily. The whole idea is that we were supposed... another aspect about it is that there's a god killer thing going on in this story. That something was created to kill gods, and Wonder Woman wields it. And she goes to man's world specifically to fight Ares, the god of war. Her biggest enemy, to tell you the truth. For years, Ares has kind of waned in and waned out as like her biggest threat. Think like the Green Goblin, except he's a god and really much of a jerk and can't really be killed because he represents conflict of man. But yeah, Ares has been driving us to World War I. Kind of. There's another big twist with this. But how does she find out about this? Why, Steve Trevor, good old Captain Kirk himself, lands on Paradise Island and tells her about the war going on in the world. So she makes the decision, I gotta go, I gotta save the world. And that's the story of Wonder Woman. So, without going too heavy into spoiler territory, she makes the decision to go out and save people. But man's world is complex and dark, and this is World War I, where there wasn't really good guys or bad guys in it. In fact, trench warfare plays a major plot point in the movie with the involvement of a new type of gas that like dissolves things, even gas masks. So we got like this new super poison being made. And Wonder Woman believes that Ares is causing all this conflict in the world. Now, one aspect about this film is that you could obviously tell at one point this was a World War II film. In at least my opinion about it. The reason I think that is mostly because the Germans are just the bad guys, and it feels like they're Nazis, but they're not Nazis. Like, since it's German World War One before the party even existed, that concept was not even a thing. I really feel like they just kind of took that out, just so that they can have this play in other countries that don't have to worry about, oh, Nazi imagery? Don't worry, these are just the Germans from World War One. No Nazis here. So that's one thing you might be bugged by. It does play some This is a movie about an Amazon in World War One, so there's going to be a lot of historical inaccuracy in this movie. And if you're a historical nut, that's going to drive you up the nuts. So I'd say, don't worry about it and watch Wonder Woman kick butt. But this does definitely have some themes. The major theme of the film is that nothing is ever simple. Wonder Woman goes on a black and white quest to try and save the world. And she believes that by killing Ares, this will make everything better. But it doesn't. Because the truth of the matter is that the movie reveals, and this is a really great reveal, that Ares only suggested things. He didn't make the world go to war, which is actually a very, very good take on the whole issue here. Because it would have been simple for a movie to say, oh, this big bad dude, he caused the war. It was his fault. Nothing to do with the assassination, the rising tensions between countries. No, Ares caused World War One. But no, that was actually a pretty smart move, because they didn't rely on that, and they used it in the plot of the movie as a character theme that nothing is ever simple. But you want to know what is simple? Trying to help people. Because the nice thing about this movie, it doesn't do gray morality in a bad way. What it does is that Wonder Woman has to learn that the world is not simple. But the movie never chastises her for wanting to help people. It only chastises her for thinking it's so simple. Because the truth is, it's okay to help people. It's okay wanting to help people. But if you end up in a bad situation without understanding what's going on, you can easily cause harm. And that's kind of what I like about this movie, is that Wonder Woman actually has a character arc to herself that you'll either love or hate. Because some people will love it based on the fact that she learns something, she grows, and it makes the movie about her. Others will hate it because she does have to learn and grow, and she's not the perfect paragon of a character. Because that's always been one of the big things about Wonder Woman, is that some people really like it when she learns, some people really don't like it when she's not a paragon. But I'll tell you this, the movie never says she's wrong for wanting to help people, at least in my opinion. The movie says that it's complex, a lot more complex than you'll ever know. But besides that, I'll say this. This movie is a good chance. Because this movie does have flaws. It's not the best superhero movie ever. In fact, I gotta put it in my top 15 superhero movies if I'm gonna put it on a list. And you might be like saying, what could possibly be higher? There's not that many good... No, there's been a lot of good superhero movies since, 2000. I still love some of the X-Men films. I liked the Spider-Man trilogy. Well, the Spider-Man duology. I don't count Spider-Man 3. I don't count Spider-Man 3. And there are movies I like more. But this will hopefully be a learning period. Because, let me tell you, with flawed films means you can make something better. It's not the greatest superhero film ever, but this means directors can learn from it, because they can take all the good ideas and then put in more good ideas. You see, this is now the point of we now have a bar to reach with superhero movies that involve major female characters. We can improve them. We can work on them. We can make better superhero movies than what we had before or since. If we look at it like that, I think Wonder Woman's great for that, because Wonder Woman finally got her Christopher Reeve movie, her Michael Keaton movie. She got that. And now we at least have a bar to go from to improve. Because the flaws in this movie are this. One, the third act needed some working. The final fight with Ares needed some work. They could have used more Dr. Poison. I really wish she was a more main focal point of the film because she's kind of awesome. I would have liked that. And this is going to be a flaw for some people. It wasn't for me, but I figured I better note it. Steve Trevor is a major focus in this film. He gets a lot of character development. Now, to be fair, Steve Trevor has been the worst treated love interest in comics. The guy dies more times than Phoenix. And you might be thinking, well, come on, no, he can't. No, Steve Trevor wasn't even considered an iconic part of Wonder Woman for years. Like, the guy basically spent decades without an appearance here and there. The guy was treated like terrible, terrible shit. But some people might have an issue with this movie focuses on him in a major way at all. In fact, he does get a lot to do in the film. To be fair, I do think that superheroes' love interests need to be better. It's kind of sad that the first one who's been treated better by movies happened to be a guy. But who knows? Because, I'll tell you this, this version of Steve Trevor is a better Captain Kirk than the Captain Kirk he plays over in the Star Trek films. Not even kidding. Like, seriously, now I can actually see why he was probably chosen. Chris Pine did a fantastic job with the material he was given. But that's kind of the thing. You'll either like him for that or hate him for that. Because, to me, I thought they both got an equal focus, and, well, now I'm getting into super spoiler territory. The way they handled his death was really well done. Like, seriously. Really nice heroic sacrifice, and a really nice scene. I just wish that the third act, I kind of wish just focused on him and Wonder Woman without all the Ares stuff, because that was really powerful stuff in that last bit. So, my final thoughts, Wonder Woman is a movie that if you want a good superheroine film, go see it. If you want to, you might have some issues with it, but the truth is, every version of Wonder Woman has its issues. There's never been an absolutely perfect Wonder Woman, even in comics. But this is a really good chance for Wonder Woman to get some definitive stuff out. This is a really chance for her to grow more than she ever has. And this is a finally good chance to get superhero movies to something respectable, to something great, where we don't have to constantly make jokes about Catwoman and her terrible costume. God, what were they thinking? So yeah, Wonder Woman, good film. Go see it if you want a good superhero film.